Number of different little projection web apps and tools that I'm going to show you that can help conceptualize the transformation, the distortions, the different aspects that go along with map projections that sometimes can be kind of esoteric and hard to conceptualize. So this site is called the True Size Of, and essentially what it does is it allows you to take what is the Mercator projection, which is most web maps are made in the Web Mercator, which copies the same underlying principles as the Mercator projection. The reason they do that is because it's square, right? And so it's easy to have this kind of zooming framework where each layer then compresses out into more squares, and then you can go back and forth between scales easily, and it's just like the tiling of different squares to make that. So it's computationally an easier format than other projections within the web kind of browsing, slippy, going back and forth through different zoom layer format. So this is the kind of map that we encounter often, right, when we're looking at web maps. Okay, so the True Size Of, as we know, the Web Mercator or the Mercator is a conformal projection, right? So it preserves angle. So if you were to leave on a boat from Portugal, for instance, you could draw a direct bearing, an angle on the map that would lead you to Cuba, for instance, right? And then you could follow that bearing on your ship and it would lead you in the same angular direction, right? But the distortion that comes from that is the size. So if we were to type in Greenland, which has been in the news lately, we can see here that the size of Greenland, because it has that polar distortion, is greatly exaggerated and looks here to be the same size as Africa, essentially. But if we move it, let's zoom in a little bit. If we move it, as we approach the equator, it goes back to the true size. And really, we see that Greenland as a landmass is about the same size as India, right? And we can type in other ones, other northern latitudes. Let's type in United States, which also has some size distortion in this Mercator projection. Let's just do that one, right? We can bring this over here and see how much size that takes up in relative to equatorial countries, right? So it can be kind of an interesting tool to get a good sense of how the distance away that these land masses are from the equator in the Mercator projection, how that distorts the size and makes them larger than they really are. Let's look at one more. Let's see. Let's try Finland. Right, fairly large size. Up here, relatively speaking, right? Bring it down, it gets smaller and smaller as we approach the equator. So this can help you, conceptualize. You have a basic understanding of what the size is of various land masses based on our reading and understanding of maps through time. We can move those around to different places and get a sense of how those sizes compare to other sizes. Let's look at one more thing. Let's look at a equatorial country. Democratic Republic of Congo, right? Quite large even in the equatorial latitude. We move it northwards and it becomes larger and larger and distorts. So again, the True Size Of, a cool little web app that you can mess around with to get a sense of how things change and shift as they move in latitude within this Mercator projection.